Let's dive into our next headline from Week 7's NFL action, and it is an evaluation of the jumping the gunness that we had on the Miami Dolphins. We might have been a little too early calling the Dolphins a Super Bowl favorite. Super Bowl favorite wasn't thrown around, but one of the best teams in the NFL. I think they still definitely belong in that category, but their performance on Sunday Night Football definitely brings some cause for concern. They lost 17-31 against Philly. Now this was in Philly, so you got to play to that home team advantage. But there were some really concerning things in this game. First of all, this Dolphins secondary was atrocious on Sunday night. Safety group, you got Javon Holland back there, and he's been okay, but this corners group has been horrendous. They had
Caillou. You heard Caillou's name a lot, which is not the best thing if you're a cornerback to have your name mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. And you heard a lot of Eli Apple too. These were the two guys playing major coverage on Sunday Night Football. And Eli Apple, let's start with Caillou. He allowed 8 catches, 125 yards, and a touchdown when he was in coverage. And Eli Apple didn't do much better with 8 catches, 104 yards, and a touchdown in coverage. So that was not great. They were hurt by the absence of Xavier Howard. Eli Apple's probably not playing a ton in that game if Xavier Howard's healthy. But Xavier Howard hasn't even been that great on the season. He's got a 49 coverage grade. And that's 97th out of 117 corners in the league. So he hasn't been that great this season. They went out and acquired Jalen Ramsey in the offseason, hoping that he could help out this secondary. But he's banged up right now, and it really seems like they could use him right now. Besides the cornerback struggles in that game, they really just couldn't establish the run. That's something that we've seen a lot from this Miami team throughout the first 6 weeks of the season. A combination of Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane. But Achane's banged up right now. Raheem Mostert couldn't get it going last night. But cause for concern in Miami, what are you looking at, and what can you put a finger on that brings you concerns with Miami?
Yeah, you touched on a lot of the things. I think the run game is a big issue. They're going to be getting Achane, I should say. They're going to be getting him back relatively soon. And I think Jeff Wilson, once he gets caught up to speed, they're going to be a lot better in that regard as well.
Got some snaps
the schedule
minutes ago, but yeah.
Yeah, he did. The schedule does ease up a little bit, in my opinion. You've got the Patriots next week, and then you go to Germany to play the Chiefs. Outside of that, you've got Raiders, Jets, Commanders, Titans, Jets, Cowboys, Ravens, Bills. So the end of the season definitely is going to be a little bit of a gauntlet. But between the Raiders, the Jets twice, the Commanders and Titans and Patriots, those 6 games are all very, very winnable games that they're probably going to be favored or a very, very slight underdog. The only thing I can see is at the Jets being maybe a slight underdog there. But other than that, I think that they're going to be a favorite in every one of those games. You're going to get Ramsey back. That's absolutely going to help you out as well. But I think it begs the question, is this a contender or is this a pretender? And I'm not saying necessarily for just making the playoffs. This is a team that people 5 weeks in were, after they put up 70 points on the Broncos, oh, this is a Super Bowl team. This is a team that's going to make the Super Bowl. Are they? I don't know if they are. A team that can't establish the run and doesn't play good defense, I don't know if I can trust them, in January and February when the weather gets cold. And those are the things that you have to rely on. Come playoff time. Also against playoff caliber opponents. That's the other thing that I really worry about. Their wins this year, they're against the Chargers week 1, which they dodged a bullet there and won that game. The Patriots, the Broncos, the Giants, and the Panthers.
Oh, wow.
Who have they really beat?
That's a great point.
They haven't really beat anybody of caliber. The 2 caliber teams that they faced, 2 teams with winning records that they faced, are the Bills and the Eagles. And they got pretty much smoked in both of those games. So I look at this team as, a 10, maybe 11-win team based on their schedule because they do have a very nice schedule. But when it comes playoff time, I can see this team being in and out within the first round. I'm not a believer in this team right now. I have been skeptical about it the entire year just because they've been blowing teams out and they've been just putting up an insurmountable amount of points that is just hard to get to.
Just about to say that.
But what happens when you can't score those points? What do you rely on? And we saw it in this game. I will say this. The NFL has got a huge referee problem.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
This game, I can't tell you how many holds there were. The missed face mask on the side on Cedric Wilson. There was a pass interference on Darius Slay's pick that wasn't called. One of the guys, David Long, got clotheslined by an offensive lineman. There were so many missed calls. The Eagles had zero penalties against them.
Wow.
There's something that's got to be said to that. Am I saying that the Dolphins are going to win this game if some of those calls are made? I'm not. I think the Eagles were a better team. I think the Eagles deserve to win. They controlled that game. However, that's got to be corrected. And we see it week in and week out with these NFL referees just making boneheaded plays. And I'm going to go ahead and be that guy. These referees are just favoring teams that have Super Bowl odds, whether it's the Chiefs, which we've seen countless times. Sunday night game, the Sauce Gardner hold, which was absolutely atrocious. Whether it's the Eagles, whether it's the 49ers, whether it's the Bills, even the Ravens. The list goes on and on of these teams that are high-caliber teams that get the benefit of the whistle in clutch moments.
Yep.
And something's got to be done about that because it can't keep happening because it's becoming a week in and week out thing, and it's just taken away from what's happening. Yeah. It's taken away from what's happening on the field. But back to the original question, I've got my skepticism for sure about this Dolphins team because I don't know if they're made for playoff football.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can totally agree at this point. I mean, who they've played so far and who they've beaten. I mean, that's insanity. They just haven't beaten playoff level competition yet, and they've gotten trounced when they have. So that's those are all great points. I mean, you get all caught up in they dropped over 70 points against the Broncos. This offense is historic.
But you're not going to be playing the Broncos in playoffs,
exactly.
You know?
Yep. Exactly. So we'll see what Mike McDaniel can do to right the ship against elite level competition going forward in the season. So